Welcome to Horrormail Tales. Here's a letter from down below, warm but not singed. This Horrormail tale is about a young boy and his grandpa, held to earth. A young boy looked up at a craggy and aged face as it looked down with great care and explained something of great importance. Sometimes holes appear as if from nowhere. But holes must be dug, said the boy. No, sometimes they just appear, but really they aren't holes but gateways to other worlds. They take you somewhere else. Yes, they do, but where? Depends on the gateway. But anyway, they appear. But sometimes people fall down them and end up somewhere else. Like anywhere. They usually lead to the types of places you would not want to be, or away from them. But this is important. You must watch out for these. Why, Grandpa? So I don't fall down one? So you can get back out? Back out? I am not your real grandpa. I mean, look at me. I have horns. You don't have horns. I thought they would grow eventually. No. This is hell. One of the better areas, but this is not your home. I am telling you this because life has been easy so far. Broken bones do not heal fast, and humans put under too much force simply break. And I do not want you to break, but I will need to get harder on you, so that you will get tougher, but more importantly, quicker and stronger. And there are many types of strength. The young boy looked up and understood, and he began to remember the hole he'd fallen down so long ago. From then the young boy's life got tougher, just as the old man had promised, but it got harder with a purpose. And the young boy, who hadn't seen the sky for a very long time, began to learn to fight and think and climb. The old man, really a demon of some intellect, had begun to teach the boy about fighting. But the fighting was not as methodical as that upon the earth, but he had to use whatever weapon hell could provide, as well as fight unarmed. He learned how to climb and how to avoid trouble. But he also studied the different types of demons and devils and learned the differences between them. But the old demon knew that fighting and climbing are not enough to get anywhere, because even more specialised knowledge and skills are needed. But the old demon did not know how the boy would get out of hell, but he did know that he needed to before he grew up. The fact is that humans are in hell, and if they grow up there, they get fearful of earth and become as scurrying rats. But the fact is that he needed to escape, and so the old man, being one of the more knowledgeable demons, decided to learn from the old occult books, those hidden in the libraries of hell, the one place most demons avoid. But knowing where the nearest library was, he knew he needed to head off. There was, however, a problem. The young boy had seen little of hell, and he could not leave him where he was, because he was not a strong demon child, and could not forage for himself. But at the same time, he had not seen the difficulties there. The old demon also knew that his house, such as it was, would likely as not be lost to him if he left it for too long. In hell, you own what you can keep. But the old demon, taking with him his very best weaponry, and giving some to the child, he set off, and in one day found the library, looked at the books, took some notes, and left back with the child for home. They did not sleep or rest until they got back, and the food was not anything a human child would usually wish to eat. But as the old man studied what he had found, he realised that there was a way for the young boy to get out, and that was to look for a gateway that was opened by a power of a powerful mage, probably from the earth side. He found that there was a pattern, and so he sought the gateways out. But at first they were too slow, because the gateways would be likely to open and close again quickly. However, time gives opportunities that the mind cannot imagine, especially if one is prepared. The time came when a gateway was found and the boy went through to the earth. But he was unsure what to do, and so the old demon, knowing it was a bad idea, but also quite necessary, followed the boy through. He was faced with not the maze he had imagined, but instead an open village. But as he walked through, those there did not seem to notice his horns. The boy walked with him hand in hand as the terrible noise went on. The old demon could see the sky for the first time ever, and yet he could see people running and explosions and noise so loud he could barely bear it. He was faithful for the boy and himself, but he knew that this place had sky, and so it was a better place. He realised that even good places had bad areas, and so he lay the boy down and covered him. The boy was completely safe, and eventually the noise stopped, and they walked on. By this point he was in the desert, but the heat did not bother them, so toughened by the environment and hell were there. However, the old demon was trapped, but reasoned that although he was not supposed to be there, that it would at least be better for the boy. Eventually the old demon saw a village and sent the boy ahead and told him to go out and be with his own kind. The boy, knowing what trouble the old demon had went to, did so, and the old demon dug a hole and lived there. The boy knew that his grandpa, the old demon, would not want him to see him again, because if he did it would spell trouble. But he also knew that the old demon was clever and could safely live in the hole he dug, and would no doubt form a home just below the surface. But when he walked into the village, he was unsure of himself and found no home. But he was lucky enough to see some kind of monk, who took him to a place for lost children. The boy grew up into a man, not once telling anyone of what he had seen. He knew that the truth of hell was not meant for humankind. But as he grew up, he remembered what the old man had taught him, and even tried to keep up the skills he had learnt. He learnt all he could on the earth, and became a man of wealth and privilege quite quickly. Everything in life was normal for a rich man, but then he saw the old man again, but this time wearing a hat with a scarf wrapped around him. He thought that he would not recognise him, but he was wrong. But as the old demon hugged him, he looked worried. Knowing how the old demon felt, he took him to his mansion, a large plush building with a pool. The old man walked through the door and removed his hat and scarf. So this is what has become of you. Yes, I have grown up and became a rich man. It is good to be rich, certainly better than being poor, said the old demon. After this, a part of the mansion was set aside for the old demon, and no servant would go there. But the old demon was happy, because why would he not be? The part of the mansion that was his to live in was far better than hell had been, and he had become accustomed to the earth and hiding. The man was also happy and became even happier when he met the great love of his life. She was a clever woman and beautiful, but he did not want to tell the old demon because he did not know how he would feel. But he was happy with the world, because why would he not be? And was even happier when they were to get married. He knew he would need to tell her about the old demon, and for the first time told his story, which she did not believe, until he showed her the old demon. When he did this, she panicked, but was then quite all right again in time, and they lived the life of the rich and powerful. And one day she became pregnant and was to give birth to a son. When he heard this, the old demon laughed and said, Well, there's a demon, if ever there was one. And horns appeared on the man's head. The woman screamed and gave birth right there to a demon's son. It turned out that the old man was his grandpa all along. And this is how the second wave of demons came to be upon the earth. The old demon could not or refused to take the horns away again, and so father and son grew up covering their true appearance. However, they did not lose their wealth, because the man had a wife, and she was happy to watch what was going on with their investments and matters of power. In fact, the truth is that this made her feel important, and she felt she had a status she otherwise would not have had. But the father and the old demon knew that things could not be left like this, and so they thought of a plan, some way things could run and managed without anyone realising that they were devils. But the young baby did not stay that way, and it was obvious that he would need a tutor, and so the old demon taught him everything he could. But the mother wanted more, and so her son was tutored in statecraft and how to run things. But as this was happening, a strange thing happened. The level of wealth and power they had began to increase. Whether this was because they were simply spending less or not seemed unimportant, and they grew ever more wealthy. This being the case, another house was built, but this was to be more of a castle than a mere mansion. And it was placed further off, in some place away from people. But these were strange times, and a castle built in such a place would need to be defended, and so it seemed odd to others that they did not seem to bother about security or defence, and all that could be seen was an old man, a middle-aged one, and a young man walking with turbans on their heads. These were really the three demons. But because they looked so calm and harmless, a tribe did attack them, and they came to regret it. For when they did, the three cast aside their turbans and, showing their horns, attacked with a ferocity no man could match. But they did not kill all the tribe, and so the old demon and the youngest demon took several wives from the women and came to rule the men that were left. This became a pattern for them, and so more castles were built, which seemed to be for more sons and grandsons as they were born. And always they attacked with ferocity, this time not waiting for others to attack them. All these groups came to look different, like different families, and even took different names. They had different hues of skin and different appearances, but they were all demonic, all the same. Eventually, all the royal families of the world and the ancient but great dynasties came to be as them. But no one really knows for sure if demon blood ever dilutes, and whether those remain are human really, or whether they are all demons still. But the more important question is whether they will eventually make earth a domain of hell, or whether it is already and has been so for many a long time.